If you continue on the path that you're on, you're going to have some kind of collapse, whether that be physical, professional, emotional, something along those lines. Or you have the opportunity, especially as a leader, to prevent burnout and then stop it as it's happening. And you then can find ways to reignite passion and cultivate thriving culture where both your team and your business can succeed sustainably.
Welcome to Top Rated Gym, the ultimate podcast for gym owners ready to take their business to the next level. Each episode is packed with actionable advice to help you increase revenue, boost retention, and scale your business to new heights. Whether you're just starting out or looking to expand your locations, Top Rated Gym is your trusted resource for growth and success. Let's build stronger, thriving gyms, one episode at a time.
Understanding burnout in leadership. Oh my God, this topic is all about prevention, treatment, recovery strategies for pretty much business owners, executives, individuals, name it. Burnout is pretty much happening everywhere. Today's guest is Emahlea Wilcher, founder and CEO of New Approach Health. Emahlea is a registered dietitian with a unique focus on trauma-informed nutrition therapy, burnout recovery, and workplace wellness. With a deep understanding of chronic stress and burnout, she helps individuals and organizations identify the early signs of burnout, implementing prevention strategies, and develop long-term recovery practices. Emahlea approach is evidence-based and focuses on nervous system regulation, self-care, and boundary settings, critical component for maintaining a healthy, balanced lifestyle, especially for leaders and high-performing individuals. Welcome to the podcast, Emahlea. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm super happy to be here. Also, my cat Potato might make an entrance like several times. So she's also a guest on the podcast today.
There we go. That's awesome. What's the name of the cat?
Her name is Potato.
Oh, Potato.
Yeah, she's like a little couch potato.
That's awesome. Awesome. So burnout, oh my God, it's a big topic lately. And it's become a growing concern in today's fast-paced world, right? Especially in businesses, employment. So I have a question.
Sure.
Can you explain what burnout is? So people listening, so they had clarity about what are we talking about and how it's typically manifesting in leaders and high-performing individuals.
Absolutely. Yeah. So burnout is essentially where you've kind of hit the end of your rope in general, professionally, personally, interpersonally, physically, etc. It's where you've basically lost access to your normal power, your normal ability, and you're just kind of spilling out all over the place. It's not just exhaustion. For leaders, it's silently draining your best talent and it's undermining your business. It's something that makes it hard to regulate your nervous system. It's something that makes it hard to regulate stress. It's essentially kind of like a critical point where if you continue on the path that you're on, you're going to have some kind of collapse, whether that be physical, professional, emotional, something along those lines. Or you have the opportunity, especially as a leader, to prevent burnout and then stop it as it's happening. And you then can find ways to reignite passion and cultivate thriving culture where both your team and your business can succeed sustainably. So there's usually a critical point where people are just kind of in shell shock and they really don't know what to do. And that's kind of where I like to come in and help out, is when people are like, oh my God, what do I do? Where do I go? And that's what we offer at New Approach Health.
I love it. I don't love that people are having burnout. Definitely. I would say not my experience yet.
Yet. I mean, everyone's at risk. In fact, the majority of people are at risk right now. Since the pandemic, at least 50% rise in burnout has been reported. And there's pretty much like 75% of workers are at risk of burnout right now. Burnout's not like a technical term or anything like that, but it is something that we're all generally familiar with, kind of like the concept of clean eating. It's not technical, but it's a very, very commonly used term, and it kind of follows a general set of principles. So
got it. And let's talk about recognizing this, talking about signs of burnout. What would you say there are some early signs of burnout, and how, let's say in our audience, gym owners who are listening to this, and executives should be on the lookout for both themselves and their teams? First,
Absolutely.
Let's start with myself. Like, how do I recognize if I'm under burnout?
Well, as an individual, if you want to know whether or not you're starting to suffer from burnout, the best thing to do is look at your daily anchors and kind of see how many of them you're managing to either meet or how many of them you're starting to not meet. So, for example, as a person who's a CEO or as a person who leads a company, you have a set routine, or most of the time people do have a set routine and ritual that they follow, like in the morning, and they, go through their checklist of my daily, like check in with myself. I get up, I check my phone, I go to the bathroom, I get myself some breakfast, get myself some coffee, those kinds of things. If you notice that like you're waking up later than normal on a regular basis, if you notice you just don't have the energy or the capacity to continue doing your daily coffee or daily check-in with yourself, if you notice that basically things are starting to fall by the wayside and you're not able to keep up with your normal responsibilities, that's a really good example of burnout starting to come in. When you're in the midst of really deep burnout, it's going to be things like chronic fatigue. It's going to be irritability. You're going to have lower motivation. Something you would notice like employees having is kind of like a shell shock look on their face, just kind of like barely there, sort of here they are, here they're not, mentally, emotionally. They'll have a lot of brain fog. Brain fog is a really good sign that burnout is approaching. Once we're kind of deeper into it, you'll notice things like frequent illnesses. So colds or coughs, things like just kind of having malaise or getting food poisoning more easily, getting other digestive issues, noticing that like if you have stomach issues, they're starting to come back or they're starting to get worse. Having headaches on a regular basis is really common. Disrupted sleep, where you either have trouble falling asleep, have trouble staying asleep, have trouble waking up in the morning, have really bad nightmares, can't have any dreams at all. Reaching for old coping skills, for example, like if you used to use drugs or used to use alcohol and you've started using it again, it's a good sign that something's going on behind the scenes. Or, doom scrolling too often, using social media too often, engaging in old behaviors that just don't really serve you anymore. Other things, shortness of breath, not really being able to take deep breaths, not being able to find moments of stillness. Those are all some of those like physical and emotional signs of your body just kind of saying, ooh, you're kind of getting close to my limit right now. And it's usually just that severance of mind-body connection that makes people super susceptible to burnout in general.
Got it. So if I can translate this, burnout in what you describe is change of pattern in a bad way. Like you start slacking on your routine. Your body starts slacking on defending you from immunity of diseases.
Exactly.
Right? You slacking on like your motivation is behind. Like, I can't push myself in.
Yeah.
Because usually people are driven by willpower. Right?
Yes.
They get into the job, they're driven by willpower, there's something exciting new, changes are coming in, they're learning, they want to prove themselves.
Absolutely.
Right? And then that drive is driven by willpower, and then willpower disappears after a while, right?
Yes.
And then you're left with everything else, but there's no pump, there's no ump behind it, there's no power pushing it, and then you start rerouting. So, and it's stress building up, right? Because I believe 5 minutes of stress shut down your immune system for an hour and a half, something like that. Or more.
That's right. That's right.
And that's why immune system collapse.
Yes. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So let me understand this. What's causing this? In your experience, most common cause of burnout.
A lot of times it's just people not really knowing what their limits are and people not really knowing what their needs are. We live in these little bags of meat that carry us around all day, every day, and very rarely do we know how to take care of them the way that they are optimized to be taken care of. So we all know that going to the gym is good for you. We all know that nutrition is good for you. But a lot of times people don't incorporate the like extra steps necessary in order to implement boundaries and protect themselves from taking on too much. So what I mean by that is there are things that people could do that most people are pretty resistant to that can actually improve your risk of not developing burnout. So, for example, having moments of stillness throughout the day where you just don't have a phone, you don't have TV, you don't have any distractions, you're not talking to anybody, you're literally just kind of chilling and just doing nothing and observing the inside of you and the outside of you so that you can get attuned with what's going on inside your body. You can pay attention to little signs like, are your hands moving? Do you feel yourself fidgeting? Can you hear the birds outside? Can you hear the cars driving by? Can you feel the temperature of the room? Can you feel all of your body? Are your legs tensing? Are your feet bouncing? All of these kinds of things are signs of where you really are emotionally and nervous system wise. These kinds of things are good ways to catch up with your body and understand what your body is trying to tell you. The calmer you are, the easier it is to detect when burnout is about to happen. And the more stressed you are, the harder it is to detect when burnout is about to happen. It's kind of like, imagine being at a club and someone, like, the music is pumping and it's very loud and someone tries to say something to you. If they say it in a normal room volume, an indoor volume, it's not going to be audible. They have to yell in your ear directly in order for you to be heard. But most of the time, the little signs and symptoms that your body is giving you are not going to be someone yelling in your ear, because the noise of burnout is typically so loud that you can't actually hear the signs inside your body. And what will happen is people, especially that highest risk age group of like 35 to 55-year-old folks who are like in their mid-career leadership, they have that heightened risk of depression. They have the heightened risk of like suicidal ideation. And so they'll notice that they just start to feel worse and worse and worse, start giving up on their hopes and dreams. And over time, this can actually end up costing businesses quite a bit of money. That turnover due to burnout can be roughly like 1.5 to 2 times an employee's annual salary. And when you have, people up higher, it can be even more costly, of course, to the entire organization.
You know what? When you were explaining that minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes of silence, you see, I tested myself a lot. And I'm the guy who didn't experience burnout. In the past, yes, I did, because I went over the board. But it was for a short period of time, because I know I had to accomplish certain things, and I was forcing it out of my limits. Like I was giving 300% out of me, no sleep, no eating, like boom, just burnout. And I was consciously going into it because it was a deadline. But after deadline, I went like, disconnect. I had that. But now when I'm thinking, when I go on a break for 5 minutes, and if I'm on social media scrolling, 5 minutes pass by and I am in no better shape. Versus I go and I close my eyes and I quiet my mind, like think about breathing, just a little meditation, self-conscious. And I feel that my heart rate starts speeding up. My breathing speeds up. I start a little sweat. Like the whole body goes in like, okay, time to recover. Like boom, 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 boom. Do whatever you want to do. Just get back to it. And I come back, open my eyes, like, ooh, feels good. Feels restarted. It feels like I took a nice bath on my thoughts and mind and a body.
Yes.
And it makes me ready for the next thing to tackle. People are not aware how beautiful those breathing exercises are. Just forget about it. Take 5 minutes, breathe. Like, breathing every day. You're not. Go and do a breath walk.
Well, why don't we pause for 30 seconds, which is a very long time on a podcast, and just let the listener just try to breathe for 30 seconds. Ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. Okay. So if that was something as the listener where you felt like you were basically dying and you were like, what is going on? This is the most uncomfortable thing I've ever had to do. It's a good sign that you might need some more moments of stillness for sure. Yeah.
It's very simple. You see, the world around us is designed to bombard you with information, to take your focus, to absorb you in attention grabbing. You see, Disney World, that's designed as a beautiful entertainment place. It's nothing else but maximizing experience of every one of your senses. I remember last time I was going to Disney with my family, I just needed 20 minutes in the morning so I can meditate. And in that meditation, I felt all the beauty of the world, all the gratitude that's coming out. And I'm thinking, I don't need this entertainment of the craziness going around to fulfill my emotional satisfaction.
Yes.
Sometimes inner peace is what we're looking for. And somebody will say, yeah, I don't have these 20 minutes. You know how many burning fires I need to kill in these 20 minutes? There's absolutely nothing there. I don't even have a space where I can do that. Right? There's always space. Right? Don't scroll on your phone in the bathroom for 20 minutes.
Yes. Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
find a chilling spot
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
make that happen.
Yeah.
Whoa, I love that. So now, last time we spoke, you talk about nervous system regulation. You mentioned nervous system regulation is a key component of managing burnout.
It
Can you
is.
explain what it means?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're stuck in a culture of like hustle and grind, when we have ego-driven leadership styles and bottom line driven leadership styles that are just very focused on getting as much out as humanly possible and being, very like, bring me the recognition, bring me the best that you have, and I will basically, employees are giving you the best years of their bodies. And so to not value that becomes really damaging to them, and it becomes damaging to you, because when you don't have a good employee base to support you and hold you up, they're going to become weak, and then your entire organization will suffer. And so a lack of like genuine employee recognition and appreciation and a lack of self-development, those all contribute to burnout kind of starting to happen. And so when we talk about those things, they are all major contributors to a nervous system being dysregulated for an employee. At the end of the day, all human beings are just nervous systems trying to regulate when they are dysregulated. When we're regulated, we're happy. When we're dysregulated, we're everything else. Well, when we're regulated, we're calm. And when we're dysregulated, we're everything else. And so what that means is essentially, because of many different things that happen in our lives, oftentimes trauma, we tend to have kind of reactive behaviors toward stressors. Things like getting frustrated, things like getting elevated, things like not being able to speak in a calm voice, not being able to speak slowly, not being able to choose your words intentionally. Those are the most like basic examples of nervous system dysregulation. Bigger signs of dysregulation would be the things like doom scrolling, reaching for alcohol or drugs more, reaching for TV more, missing out on your like normal routines, missing out on taking care of yourself. And so one of the
chocolate and eating heavily, and you don't have
Yes. I primarily specialize in disordered eating when it comes to my nutrition clients. And that is definitely the primary thing. And the disordered eating, it's really just an attempt to regulate the nervous system, right? Like we're really just trying to feel okay. The majority of us are just trying to feel okay. And when you're in leadership, you're always moving forward to the next project, or you're balancing multiple projects. And it becomes really challenging to be okay for any length of time. And so the best thing you can do is recognize what your body is like when it's calm. And so if you don't take those 30 seconds, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day to let yourself achieve a full state of calm, you're never going to know what the silence in your body looks like, sounds like, and feels like, because you're always going to be on high alert. And so one of the things that you'll notice is, after you go through that period of calm, and I even noticed it with you when you were talking, is your voice slowed down and you said that was good. And so you had that moment of silence inside your body. And then as you kind of got back into being on the podcast and, remembering that you're a podcast host, you got more excited and your voice went up. But like, that's the kind of thing that people are really missing out on, is like being in those moments of calm inside their bodies. Those moments of calm bring the nervous system regulation. Nervous system regulation is a key component to being able to live a peaceful, calm life. And that is something that you actually can reasonably and thoroughly and consistently achieve, even in leadership, even as a business owner. All you have to do mostly is just become really comfortable with failure, become really comfortable with putting out fires, and become really comfortable with the unexpected always happening, which seems like a pretty natural thing for leaders to have, but that's not really what happens. People get really nervous, people get really anxious, people get really keyed up, and they really struggle to stay in their power, their calm power. And that's mostly what I'm talking about when I say nervous system regulation is staying in your calm power.
Consciously understanding
Yeah,
where you are. It's like imagine there's a
exactly.
little bar that tells you how far off you are, and you got to get yourself back into this state. So I remember reading a book from Phil Collins from Nike.
Yeah.
So he's an example of these guys. If you don't know, Phil Collins is the guy who created Nike. He started selling shoes as a back of his car and in front of the campus of student campus, right? And he is the self-made success, totally grinding from ground up. But he discovered in order for him to keep making it happen, keep growing to the next levels and consistently adapting to new level of stress, he had to meditate. And he was
Yes.
meditating religiously. So he had even a room next to his office that was totally quiet meditation room that sometimes he would go there for 7 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Literally. And he
Oh,
would
yeah.
stuck himself until idea and solution don't come out. Like you need to make, because I believe we live in this universe of ideas and emotions and results and solutions. And they're talking to us, but we are in the disco club. Nobody can hear it. And that voice is little quiet voice that can give you a solution that you're trying to bang your head around to solve it. Just go and let's see. Okay, I accept all the ideas, right? And you got to keep calming down by focusing on one source. Maybe your breathing, maybe your heart rate, maybe smell, maybe temperature in the room, maybe just clothes touching your body, something, and then calm down and you'll see ideas just come in. And
Yes.
I believe those ideas are those voices
Yes.
that are just appearing.
Absolutely.
And I think body whole reacts on that quietness moment. It's overrated or underrated what moments of silence is.
Yes. Yes.
So we need that. You need that. After
Yeah.
this podcast, just pull over, boom,
Yeah.
and
See what
put
happens
10
if you
minutes
hold still
and
for
just
5 minutes,
quiet
10
place.
minutes.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Ignores it.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I love that. What triggered me last time we spoke about is difference in the burnout based on demographics. You
Yes.
highlighted that burnout can look differently in men and women, right?
Yes.
Would you mind sharing some insights on how burnout present
Yeah.
across genders?
Absolutely. So primarily men are, well, actually, I'm going to start with women because I'm a woman. So women, we're more in touch with our bodies than men are by default because men historically have been told to not pay attention to their emotions, to not pay attention to their bodies, to like push through it, push past the pain. Whereas women, it's a lot more socially acceptable for us to be in touch with our bodies. One of the ways that burnout shows up the most, and it's almost the most like visible one for women, is through menstrual cycle irregularity, which if you're in any kind of birth control that like controls your menstrual cycle, this one could be hard to catch. This one could be hard to see. So what you'll notice is worsening of PMS symptoms, worsening of emotional symptoms that come along with that kind of fluctuation throughout the cycle, throughout the month. Additionally, women will see hair loss. Men will also see hair loss, but women will see hair loss that's more global. So that's like all over the head as opposed to in that sort of like male balding pattern. Women's stress can make it really hard for them to get restful sleep. And so can it for men, but for women, what you'll notice is if you have children, you'll notice that you're getting more irritable with your kiddos, you're having trouble keeping up on your parenting duties, and really just feeling disconnected from your body is probably the biggest thing that you'll notice. So gender difference wise, it is really truly the like just feeling disconnected from your body, feeling disconnected from your cycle, feeling disconnected from your own like feminine power, so to speak. And for men, a lot of it is suddenly you're just like, oh my God, I've hit a wall. I've hit the end of the rope. It's too much. And you're like sitting on the couch, just zoning out, not doing anything. You'll notice actually a lot of times women will end up with more sugar cravings than men do. And men will often end up with like more desire to drink alcohol than women do. A lot of times men will kind of go toward more of like the driving fast and like going really hard at the gym kind of thing, whereas women will likely respect their body's fatigue more as opposed to like pushing past certain limits. So you'll notice that there's some ups and downs for men that are like a little bit more on the extremes, I would say, in terms of just like the push that they have, the like higher highs and lower lows. And women, because we are, again, like more in touch with our bodies, just naturally because of the fact that we are experiencing a cycle every single month and it goes in 2-week phases, we'll just notice more impact in that way. For women who are like postmenopausal or women who are perimenopausal, you'll notice that those symptoms just get worse and they are harder to control and they feel more in your face and the fatigue feels more in your face. So for like kind of the mid-career leadership folks, that's going to be a pretty noticeable sign as well.
You know, I would say in one sentence, burnout can make you do things otherwise you wouldn't do it.
Absolutely.
In
Oh
a
my God,
big
100%.
way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You will say things you wouldn't say. You will behave the way you wouldn't.
Yeah.
You would say things you wouldn't advise yourself or others to say.
Absolutely.
Because that edge kicks you off and you was like, oh my God, why did I say it? And maybe it
Yes.
makes you regret it for certain things.
Absolutely.
Right? It comes different character out of you, that different personality that you don't support, but somehow it's overpowering you. And it's almost like herding lion that's going to bite everybody around just to protect itself. Like that's too much. And you can see people when they're acting. You might say they have a bad day, but if that continues, they have a bad week, bad month, they have bad quarter, they're living in a bad year, right? It piles up, and they become jerks, not because they want to, it's because they're so wounded that
Absolutely.
just like they don't know how to act differently.
Correct. Absolutely.
Right. So that's the time when, you know, you don't fight with the fight. You don't kill the darkness with the dark. You kill the darkness with the light. It has to get in opposite way, right?
Yes.
One light will kill all the darkness. One professor said, you know, how do you measure darkness? There's absolutely no measure for darkness. There's a measurement for light, and it's called lumens. And then how do you measure anger? You don't measure anger. You measure love. How much you love something. You don't measure burnout. You measure the lack of calmness, lack of centricity, lack of where you're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Right? And in order to kill the burnout, you cannot go add more things to your life.
Right.
You got to take it out.
Yes. Yes. You have to find an empty space that you can occupy just by yourself, for yourself, with yourself. Those moments of stillness are truly the greatest prevention tool I could possibly give anybody.
So guys, think about it. When was the last time you spent 5 minutes doing absolutely nothing, awake, not sleeping, awake and being totally quiet? You know that even Nikola Tesla, who was one of the biggest scientists of all the times, get all his inventions, ideas constructed in his mind while he was quiet. Not while he was in the paper thinking engineering, solving the problem. In quiet mind. He would say, I got pictures so clear with exactly how it's supposed to happen, and it happens when he produced later on. And those all creations, most creations happen in the most quiet places.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. You're created in a very, very quiet place as a human being. Inside the safety of the womb, there's not very much going on in there. You're just kind of being. We start our lives just kind of being. And then we come out, you know, guns blazing, crying and saying, hi, I'm here. But all of the actual creation process, all of the like development process happens in a quiet, dark, safe, warm place.
I agree. There's a test to this. I don't know if you agree with this test, but in Disneyland, there's a science house, whatever, and there was like a little measurement device that you put around your head, and there's a competition. 2 people pair themselves, and there's a ball starts from the middle. So if you kind of calm your mind down, and they read and they show it on the screen the nervous system reaction for you and the opponent, and the more quiet you are, more calm you are, the better it is. And then you'll push the ball towards the opponent, like ball moves. So I'm expert meditator. I'm going to beat my brother-in-law, who is chill guy, like calm, laugh. Life doesn't have any problems. There's never anything. Like, but I know how to meditate. And he's a natural meditative state. He's a natural golem. So we came on, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing well. Oof, so cool. And something happened to me. I opened my eyes and I saw ball all the way on my court. And then my brain started acting like dumb and I lost it. It's a funny thing, but people who are naturally calm and funny and happy and peaceful and grateful, you don't see them burn out.
No.
But you see them, their pattern is like, okay, let me just chill. Let me cool down. Right? Stress
Absolutely.
has its own cost, but there has to be some kind of balance of drivers for success, and I have to make it, and then also part of it that we need to recharge.
Yes. It's really just tapping into your sustainable instinct over your survival instinct, which we have access to both. It's just hard to get in touch with your sustainable instinct when you're living a typical like leadership lifestyle, which is put out the fires today, what needs to be dealt with today. Okay, now let's triage everything else for another time. And it's, okay, I'll get to this when it's time to get to it, which is a perfectly fine way to approach life. And it's a perfectly fine way to approach leadership if and only if you're actively balancing it with your sustainable instinct. You can't only be putting out fires. A fire department doesn't put out fires all day. They put out fires every once in a while, but the majority of the time they're like getting kittens out of trees or like, helping somebody get unlocked from their car or something like that. It's the smaller things that, kind of hold up society. And so it's going to be the smaller things that hold up your organization as well and hold you up. And so sustainable is always the way to go, not survival.
So let's say somebody have a tendency to become, to experience burnout. What would you say its easiest preventive measures? Like proactive steps that leaders, employees, professionals,
Absolutely. So one of the things that you have to do when you're in leadership is acknowledge that burnout is going to happen no matter what you do. You can do everything you can, but employees are a mixed bag and they're not going to come to you in the same state. Some people might come to you after they've done 6 months of backpacking through Europe and a bunch of psychedelics and they found themselves and they're ready to get back into the world and they're pursuing their passion and here they are ready to work with you. Other people are like coming back from homelessness or coming back from like basically getting fired from a job and having to scramble and show up, on your hiring manager's doorstep and you suddenly have an employee who's already burnt out coming into your business. And so one of the things that you have to do is acknowledge that no matter what, burnout will be present at your company in some way, shape, or form, but you as the leader, you as an executive, you as a CEO, you as a founder are the best example of how to handle those things, how to prevent those things. So first and foremost, prioritizing your own well-being is always going to be the most important thing. What I tell people is that becoming a CEO means that your business is going to be you turned inside out. Your business is you. Your business is how you feel about yourself. It's how you look at your product. It's how you look at your people. It is how you feel about your place in the world. And so if you don't like yourself or if you're really struggling, guess what's going to happen to your employees? The exact same thing. So one of the things that you can do in leadership is identify and acknowledge that burnout is going to be there, that you can prevent it, but you also have to be ready to treat it. If you have regular anonymous employee surveys or regular interviews with employees, it can be really helpful to kind of just get a temperature check on what's going on in your organization. If you promote open discussions around mental health, promote open discussions around burnout, be open and honest. Like leaders act as those role models. Leaders act, naturally, leaders are role models, right? So if you promote a culture that is designed to protect people's well-being and designed to protect people's wellness, for example, you have a business designed around wellness, your employees are just as important there. And it's more than just you get free gym membership and you get free use of the locker rooms or something. It's actually like, taking your time and getting to know your employees and what their struggles are and what they have going on. You don't have to overinvest in people and you don't have to like break any rules in order to just be human with another human. So being a role model for self-care by engaging in vulnerability, engaging in balance, being open about it, being open about your emotional intelligence, being open about mistakes that you make, developing empathy, treating employees as whole individuals and not just workers. Those are really great ways to like engage with prevention, creating culture that's sustainable, not always focusing on conventional management, solely results focused management, but instead transitioning to sustainable, holistic, wellness driven culture really does prioritize your well-being, your employees' well-being, and the well-being and longevity of your business.
I always say, the burnout really depends on what you're doing in the business as well. In our world, we classify things in three colors. Like red, I hate doing this, and that's causing my burnout. And green, I can do this all day long, feels like a hobby, like a game, like just give me those things, right? And then orange are like those that we don't like doing, but has to be done anyway. There are not many of these, like admin tasks and so on. So what I'm thinking is it's about how we structure the work environment that leads people to be empowered. Because every business owner, I'm a business owner. I want to grow as fast as possible, right? My team is also my equity partners. My success is their success, and they know it. And we all want to push as fast as possible. But it's like a driving car. If you drive at highest RPM, it's going to break down. It's not going to reach warranty levels, period.
Right. Right.
But how does somebody who has, let's say, 50, 100 employees, where there's a distance between a leader and the people who are workers, and like there's the director and manager employee level, how do they know what the temperature of the organization is? Is it boiling hot? Everybody's burning out? Like that survey you mentioned, what would be questions to ask in a survey to measure and understand the level of the burnout and what RPM are we driving this organization?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So essentially, one of the things that you can do is just at a baseline, and I'm all about prevention. My background is in public health. Part of my background is in public health. And so prevention is a really big thing in public health. Incorporating actual mental health education into the routine training, teaching employees like how to recognize the signs and symptoms of burnout, teaching employees how to get help for mental health issues, teaching employees those kinds of things. That's a great way to at least like let people know that they are valued in terms of their well-being, because it helps them understand things that they likely didn't learn like in school, they likely didn't learn from their family, especially when you get new employees like right out of college. Oh my God, like they are the most likely to burn out, because that transition from like school life to, oh my God, I'm paying my own bills and like feeding myself is a very, very, very rough and bumpy road for pretty much every 22-year-old out there. But in those surveys, the best thing to do really is just like ask people, do you feel like you can balance your work and home life? Do you feel like you're getting paid enough to survive? Do you feel basically checking in with the temperature of their survival? Are you in sustainable mode or are you in survival mode? So, do you feel like you're getting enough sleep? Do you feel like you're able to eat enough? Are you able to engage in exercise enough? On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is this is mildly annoying and 10 is this is the fullest expression of my stress, whether that be like an anger outburst, a panic attack, complete shutdown, relapse of some kind in some kind of behavior, whatever, like where is your average stress level? And anytime you have a majority or even like a good chunk of people that's 7 out of 10 or above, you need to be teaching people strategies on how to deal with that in the moment. Honestly, there should really be like a coaching department in every single business. It's just as valuable as HR to essentially have time for employees to connect one-on-one with a department which is a huge implementation practice, but it's still something that like when you are able to have a coaching department, then you don't have to rely so much on like leadership to be perfect at their coaching skills. And instead you can have basically a neutral kind of space where employees can go and just kind of like talk about what's going on and like how they want to develop and how they want to get better. Making sure that people feel like physically restored, asking them, are you like, do you feel comfortable in your working environment? Like what would help improve the quality of your work? What would help improve the quality of your life? Those kinds of things. And essentially helping people get connected early on in their journey. And even as part of like quarterly or annual performance reviews, helping people rediscover their purpose, how they align with their personal values, helping them discover their personal values, helping them connect with passion. They did take the job for a reason. It's not every single job is going to be a career, but they did take the job for a reason. And even if it's something as basic as I just need to pay my bills, I just need to eat food, there's still ways that you can be teaching them and giving them more than just a paycheck, because they're human beings. At the end of the day, you have human beings, and you have to recognize they are just as human as you. And probably the most important thing to recognize, especially if you're just kind of starting out in the business world, is your employees are unlikely to want to work as hard as you. Your employees are unlikely to believe in your vision as deeply as you. Your employees are unlikely to, be as committed as you are. And a lot of people really believe in quiet quitting culture, which is I need a paycheck and I'm going to do the bare minimum. And I'm actually a supporter of quiet quitting culture when you feel like you're burning out, because if you're not being valued by your organization and they're not hearing your cries, if your leadership is not paying attention, or if your leadership is burnt out because their leadership is burnt out because their leader, you have an organizational issue. And so that shouldn't fall on your employee to fix that. That should fall on you. And if you're,
ask a
yes,
question on the, where is the line where employer would go to? Because we can agree that work can create stress and burnout, but we can probably agree that private life is contributing factor, because change in relationships, divorce is one of the biggest stress factors. Migration, moving from one country to another, places, losing the sense of certainty, based, health problems, pain, sudden, you get kids, boom, life change overnight, sleep deprivation. Right?
Absolutely.
It can be family, somebody in family in trouble, sickness as well, that takes all the focus away. So those are not job-related problems that can contribute to burnout, right?
Right.
And then what is the role of the owner who's taking half of that free time? You have 8 hours to work and 8 hours outside to be participating in a solution. What should be a role of the leader?
I love that question. So what I do with my employees is I actually really like to provide them with support, because I have training in different kinds of like therapeutic modalities. So I'm able to kind of incorporate that into my leadership coaching style. And if they're really running into issues, like I usually do encourage people to have a therapist, because that's, well, one, they're like affordable pretty much across the board everywhere if you have any kind of health insurance whatsoever. And two, everyone needs somebody. Yes, but everyone needs someone to talk to. Everyone needs somebody to bounce ideas off of and talk to and open up to, and somebody who has no vested interest in their own like stake in the relationship, but instead they only have vested interest in the stake of the employee. So the person who, is getting the therapy essentially. What I really think is the line is essentially, well, one, there are laws, obviously, of things that you can't really, boundaries you can't cross with employees. But more than anything, understanding that, like, as a man, for example, or as a woman, we are basically the dad and the mom of our employees. And so think about it like that. You have these people who you're growing them, you're developing them, you're paying them, you're feeding them, you're taking care of them. You're doing the same things that a parent would do. And so while you may not have to be like boots on the ground, hands in every pie, like adjusting every employee's well-being and taking care of them in that way, people on your team should be trained in like ability to talk to people on that kind of like almost therapeutic level. They're just really good interpersonal conversational skills. Even things like just making it so employees can come and just sit in your office, or that your employees can come and sit in your office and just cry for a minute. Like that's a very, very helpful thing. Crying is the body's way of releasing energy that it has stored up, and it's the original form of communication that we have as human beings. It's how we communicate distress. It's how we communicate discomfort. So learning how to like hold space for people is really one of the most important things you can do as a leader. Now, when it comes to people's personal lives and being able to help them find solutions, or wanting to kind of just like take a step back, Having really, really clear, defined rules and regulations for your business is always helpful. The more structure, the more likely your employees are to succeed. The more you have, like, this is the appropriate way to do this, the more you have measurable benchmarks, the more you have a very clear job description, the more you can say, hey, this is what's expected of you. And if you feel like you can't meet this, please let me know. We'll see what we can do. But like open conversation, very clear expectations, and holding space for people is really the best that you can do. If you have a solution that you want to suggest to people, there's no rule that says you can't make a suggestion. However, you have to always let them know there's a caveat of this is how I would handle this. It may not necessarily be what's best for you, but this is how I would handle this. I really believe in like the one-on-one coaching development and mentorship. If you're not going to be a mentor to your employees, then what are you really doing? Because you have mentors throughout your entire life. Anybody who runs a successful business has multiple mentors that they can look back on and say, this person helped me here, this person helped me here, this person helped me here. The way you pay that forward is by giving that to your employees as much as possible, whether that be your executive leadership team, or if you're kind of more of like in the bootstrapping process, whether that be like your normal gym employees or your like advertisers.
It's like a big family. You gotta look at everybody as a part of your crowd, that when somebody falls, you don't push them forward, you help them get up.
Yes.
And
yes.
then, but it also has to come in both ways.
Yeah.
You mentioned quiet quitting. I'm not sure that until recently I understood what that means.
Yeah.
And then if it's what I mean is, especially word quiet in quitting is, okay, I'm giving up. It's almost like I'm giving up on my career progress. I'm giving up on helping this company because I'm going to just take it easy. What I would do if I'm there, I would say, hey, buddy, like, do you see what you're doing? Open your eyes. I'm going to quit. I'm going to get out. If you don't change, if you don't release this pressure, nobody keeps it up. Like if you force me to go on an overnighter, you got to give me a slack to get me out. Right? So because I was in every company when I was 25, I was working 3 jobs, 100 hours a week, and I would go 4 or 5 months. I would gain the weight. My health will destroy. Right. Yep. And I know there's the end. There's a deadline when I'm done. But I would push. It took me 10 years to lose those pounds, literally after that. It was
that weight follows you.
It took, and then I'm thinking like, I don't want to do this to myself or to others. But I also want to understand what somebody's driving. Somebody will push themselves on a burnout, not because employer wants to burn them, because they want to make money and they're asking for overtime. So what does the business owner says? No overtime because you're going to hurt yourself. And it's like, I'm going to find a second job. I don't care. I need more money. My husband left me. I got to make my money and so on. So there is a need for working. There's a need to making it. But also, I really believe in that there has to be two-way communication. It has to, somebody who is in trouble has to speak they're in trouble.
But some people don't know how.
It says, I have a problem.
Yes.
And for next weeks, something happened in my family, my health, my relationship, my surrounding. I'm not the same person yet once I was. And I need to change expectations because I'm no capacity. You're trying to drive me 300 miles an hour and I'm not on the same road. Right? So that's why I have a hard time accepting quiet quitting, because it's like giving up. Unless saying, boom, let me go. Stop that madness. And people will respect that. I believe there's like, okay, hold me up. I back you up. I pushed you to this limit. I carry you to this forward. I need a break. And then I think everything will steam out. Like, okay, boom, go take care of your family. Maybe business owner will come up with a check and says, okay, here's the money. Support your family. Support yourself. Go find a new place. Get something. Might, instead of giving you slack, might give you push in your direction so you can get back on step. Because when there's a credibility, when there's honesty, right? When there's a place to say, damn, I did not know one person who cares about their people that would not help them in trouble.
Absolutely.
And I have those examples. I have people with the mental issues in my company. Somebody who says, just fire the ass, right? Get yourself a replacement who's going to be good. Like, no, this person built the credits. This person is capacity to do it. He can do things. He's just in a bad time. He's in the darkest and needs lights to get out. The question is, how do we
Absolutely.
support it? How do we as a leader create people so not only they help them out, but also make them recognize problems in others and pay them forward?
Absolutely. And that's an organizational issue. That is a structure building issue. So when I talk about quiet quitting, what I tell my clients who come to me super burnt out is there's a job description that when you applied for the job, this is what the description entails. These are the expectations of your job. You do that. You don't do more. You don't offer more. If you're asked for more, you balance whether or not you have the capacity for it. If you're demanded more, you do have to consider whether or not you want to follow through with something like that. But at the end of the day, what you're expected to do, the condition of your employment, is your job description and whatever is listed in your contract. And as long as you're following those rules, as long as you're truly adhering to that, you haven't given up. You're just not giving more. And that's okay. There are periods of time where people can't give more. And you can't expect more from them because their body doesn't have more. There's an upper limit. They're saturated. They can't do more. You can't give more than what you have. So,
What you're saying is teach people how to say no.
Yes, correct.
So, let me clarify that. So, let's say business owners now thinking, because in small businesses, gym owners, there's a lot of these things they're not described properly in a job description. We all agree. There's a side roles that nobody
Right.
carries, but that somebody has to pick it up, right?
Right.
Things came along, boom, AC burned out. Somebody has to call that AC guys. Otherwise, all the gym members will boil to that. And in how I see that, it's like, okay, job came that was nobody's job. We have problem. We as an organization need to see it solved. Who can help?
Right.
And that should be that if the person is coming up and catching up their work voluntarily, like I want to help, or if you're giving somebody work that was not in job description, you should reward that.
Yes.
Either reward it with credit, cash, time off, or something. So the more they do to you, somehow you gotta track that and says, okay, this person deserves more. And if the person is consistently picking up, if they're adding more, they have to be rewarded more. I don't agree about somebody's taking advantage of somebody's politeness and then killing their workload without reward.
Right.
But if we see that we are rewarded, then it's okay.
Yes, absolutely. And in my, like, especially
people take
if,
advantage of the team,
right,
they're
which,
not
and that's
value.
not how you should do, because you shouldn't assume that your employees are going to have the same drive as you, the same mission, the same values, the same vision as you. Some of them are just coming to work to collect a paycheck, to feed their families, to feed themselves, to have a place to sleep at night. And that's all they really care about. Their life outside of work is what matters to them. Their life inside work is, I get a free gym membership. And you have to honor that. You have to respect that that's just going to be some of your people. And that's okay. But what you need to do is, if you're going to start adding new job descriptors, if you're going to start adding new responsibilities, you have to make sure that they understand that that's part of it. And the best way to do that in a business is one of two ways. One, update their contract always. But two, you have to set the foundation correctly. You must set your organizational foundation correctly. You must have your policies, procedures in place. You must have your employee handbook in place. You must, as things come up, be updating the document over and over and over again. Have reviews and say, we've updated this. Just like how companies say, we've updated our privacy policy and our terms and conditions. You have to click here to accept it. Do that, but let your employees know what the changes are. Let them know, hey, this is going to become a new thing. Hey, this is going to become a new thing. Don't set them up to fail, set them up to succeed.
And if you're an employee, add every job you ever did as your experience on LinkedIn. That way you increase your value on the marketplace. And somebody will steal you if you don't quit. It's because
Right, exactly.
honestly, I think every additional work we do, we are adding more value. And more value means we are contributing more. We're all paid on the size of the problems we can solve and the value we contribute. So we should be paid more. Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Always pay people more. You make enough. Do not hire too many people. If you can't keep up, then start outsourcing to AI or something like that. But figure out ways to increase revenue. Figure out ways to create structure. Figure out ways to take care of your people.
Yeah. I agree on certain things that we need to be properly, and I want people to listen to this. This is two-way communication. I just can't swallow the fact that somebody will quit without communicating and quit quite quick without telling why I'm stopping and I'm rejecting this. Because that person, if they quite quit, I think from the owner perspective, they'll get fired for not picking up slack and not picking up some other work.
That's
So
an
I think
ownership
there's
failure
a
then.
communication has to be there that
Yeah.
tells like, I cannot and I don't want to, or I will, but pay me more.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
that's the proper way to say it.
Yes.
When my employee came in, and I'm reflecting this,
Mm-hmm.
came in and says, Andre, I'm really doing a lot more than what we agreed when we started 2 years ago. I agree. And he asked for a raise.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I will say like, okay, hold on. Let me consider this properly. So I had to evaluate this part of it, of the request. Like, that's interesting point. He did contribute. He was too distant from me, came to me. I didn't even know high level of contribution. And I had to honor that.
Yeah.
And I wish he spoke earlier. I would have honored it earlier. Sometimes we do retroactively, like, okay, let's count it from January. Right. But you gotta, otherwise you'll just let people go and you'll start over. So it has to be match. And that same employee, if they stay, they'll continue. However, I have the same scenario when person who didn't make a move in the last 3 years, who already quit probably 3 years ago, he was just doing job description, came with the same request to increase salary. I couldn't honor it because there was no additional value 3 years ago. Right.
Right.
There's a distance between person who did it and I honored it and they make a progress and they're making 30% more, right? Versus somebody who never did anything and just asked for money because it's not, and wouldn't be fair to others who are not equal. So a request for increased salary without increased value, it's also not a way to work. I think it has to be proportionally market price, market value. We are all paid based on the value we add to the community.
Right. And if you communicate that at the very beginning, when you hire people, if you let them know that that is the policy, that's the procedure, that's how it's done at this company, people will know that that's an option. And that's the thing. Like a lot of owners don't realize, a lot of founders, a lot of leadership, a lot of executives, they don't realize that workplace trauma is so unbelievably common in almost like every employee you will ever have. I started my business as like the very first work that I've ever really done professionally. And I don't have any workplace trauma coming into it. And the number of people that I've tried to work with who just really like were taken advantage of by previous folks is so high, even in something as amazing as like healthcare, where we're supposed to take care of people. But what ends up happening is like people aren't given these skills. You know, it's kind of like how you get out of high school and you're like, I don't even know how to file my taxes, and I'm supposed to do that. It's the same kind of thing. Like if you're not setting your employees up for success and saying, this is how you ask for a salary raise, this is how you negotiate, this is how you do this, like level the playing field. Teach these people to be independent while they are dependent on you. Teach them to be interdependent so that you don't have some kind of weird relationship where they're enacting trauma behaviors over and over again.
This quote is my favorite. Invest in people so they can leave you at any time.
Yes.
Treat them so well so they don't want to.
Exactly. And that is exactly what we do with our partners. That's what we do with our children. That's what we do. So why the hell can we not do it with our employees? We can. We should. We need to.
Yep. And then that's the glue. That relationship is the glue that they don't want to leave. Even if they could. Like, okay, now I know AI. Now I know these skills. I can find a job anywhere. Right? But if you have a relationship and care, people care about when somebody cares. And they can recognize it if you don't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Always remember the human. We are, again, just these bags of meat. At the end of the day, my value is not greater than your value, and your value is not greater than mine. I just have more responsibilities than you. And that means nothing. It really means nothing. Like I'm just running a company. That's it. Yeah, I'm running a company. You're working for a company. We're doing the same thing.
Yeah. And we're stretching this time a little bit more than usual, but I want to ask you a quick question before we wrap up. Tell me, Emily, where people can find more information about topics. Like what's the books, what's the seminars, what's the podcast, what's the conferences people can attend, learn, get their hands on so they can get deeper on this topic? What do you recommend?
So I'm a big believer in complex trauma treatment, and I'm a big believer that everybody has complex trauma of some kind. So really the best thing I can say when it comes to burnout treatment and burnout prevention is come work with me directly. You can go to www.newapproach.health. and fill out our contact form and get in touch. And then I would work one-on-one with you to help you learn how to prevent burnout in your organization, how to prevent burnout in yourself, and how to help employees who do have burnout. That's the best place to start. In terms of like other resources though, really, if you want to understand more about kind of like what burnout looks like from an insider perspective, reading From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker is one of the best books. It's about complex PTSD. And it essentially walks you through this guy who's been working with clients for years and years, and he describes just kind of like what it looks like to have complex trauma. And the burnout experience very much aligns with that. Very much aligns with that. In fact, I would likely say that burnout is probably workplace trauma, like coming to life. And that I see just very, very clearly parallels the path of burnout that people experience. So if you really want to learn the skills, and one of the things, a trigger warning, it will definitely make you question a lot of your own life experiences, and it'll make you question a lot of like, whoa, that's something I've never dealt with, but I know that's there. I have this weird memory that popped up. So be ready to maybe potentially sign up for therapy, or just come work with me and I'll kind of help guide you through it.
That's awesome. Guys, once again, this was Emily, an incredible coach in the burnout world. We all want to make companies where we have the best place to work. We all want to have employees that really care. We all want to have organizations where it's much better to go to work and then get out. But sometimes we don't know how.
Absolutely.
So here's the how. And I invite you, get together with Emily and check it out.
Thank you so much, Andre.
Thank you, Emily. This was an incredible episode. And for you guys who are listening, you know what to do. If you know somebody who has problems, some burnout, colleague, partner, vendor, employee, right? Check it out. It's a ounce of prevention is way better than pound of cure. So let's take care of that. Well, it's small, not when it's Godzilla eating your town.
Absolutely.
So let's make it happen. Thank you, Emily, once again on behalf of the community. If you are a gym owner looking to become a top-rated gym in your area, visit topratedgym.com and grab our free 30-day reputation boost. That's topratedgym.com. I'll add it to the show notes for you. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Stay strong, stay motivated, and keep pushing your gym to the top. Until next time, this is Andre signing off.